Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fanzone on Thursday night, the regular show on a Thursday night. This is. I've got Sam, I've got Darren, and I've got Rolly. Hi, guys. How are you tonight?
Good, thanks.
Good, thank you.
as well as I can be, without being flipping bundle, without me flipping handkerchiefs, man, be like an old bloke, but
That's that time of the year, though, isn't it? Colds are out and about now, so yeah. So, guys, if you like what you see, then hit those like buttons. Helps grow the channel and helps send up the search settings as well, so people can find it a lot easier. And if you haven't yet, then please hit the subscribe button. That's free to do so. And also hit the bell notification. That'll tell you when any videos are uploaded or have become live. Thank you very much for that. Get that out of the way. So last night saw us draw 0-0 after 90 minutes, but then win 3-2 on penalties. Nick Pope pulling off 3 great saves in the penalty shootout to send us through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. And you look at some of the teams in the next round, there's some nice teams in there to get. Depends who we get after the game finishes tonight. You went to the match last night, Darren. Do you want to give us your thoughts on last night's game? Because obviously none of us saw it because there's no TV coverage apart from the audio on Newcastle United's website.
Yeah, and to be brutally honest, it was pretty boring from start to finish. I kind of hear man a match in 90 minutes, but on the average, Nick Pope did a good save in the first half for stop them scoring, but we didn't create enough at all. No one stood out. Like say Elliot Anderson, I don't think he needs to go on loan. He needs a bit regular. He needs to get regular football.
Yeah,
I know we're doing great in the league, and I think people are all getting carried away. When I've been in the Champions League, it's no way, Jose, we got to be in the top 4. If we overachieve, it's I think it's bad for us, in my opinion. I think people need to get the back being realistic. And maybe I've said start the season anyway in the top 10.
Yeah, before the season started, I would say if we got 7th place, I'd have been happy with that because that gets you in the Conference League of Europe, which is a European competition, and that would be major progress in my eyes. But, I know we're sitting in this top 4 at the moment, but like I've said to a lot of people is, see where we are come April. Then make your mind up where we're actually going to finish because it's just early in the season and we've got this World Cup break. Now, is this going to be a hindrance to us or is it going to be a blessing to us? Either way, we don't know. We just want to hope that all our players that go out to the World Cup come back unscathed as well because we don't want anybody come back with long-term injuries. We come back and when we start again in December, we've only got about 2 games before the window opens again in January. So let's see who we bring in January as well. And that'll determine as well where we finish this season, depending on the quality we're bringing in January. But other than that, like you said, Darren, last night, it weren't the greatest game. We were talking backstage, Elliot Anderson's yellow card. That was probably out of frustration more than anything. Sam, do you think Elliot Anderson should go out and loan in January to a championship club or something?
I think if we get players like Madison, I think he's got the choice but to because it's going to push him further down the pecking order. It's going to stop his development as well. Go off last night as well. I had the BBC commentary on bloody. It was absolutely shite because it was like Corner Newcastle, Corner Crystal Palace, chance Newcastle, chance Crystal. It was all one-liners. It wasn't a description or nothing. It was like, it was like a robot. It was like a robot coming out with something. There was just like yellow card Crystal Palace player, yellow card Newcastle player, and it was like, it was for me. It was hard to judge last night at all. Obviously, Darren Counts, he was there, but it's hard to judge that. I thought it looked like we were going. For what I see on the commentary, it looked like we're going through the motions, but that might have just been BBC's commentary, being bloody bored off his tits, but a lot of his fans sound like they were. But I just think, as I said beforehand, we got through, and like in the space of this week, we've cemented ourselves in the top four. I know, again, we've still got 22 games to play after the World Cup. It's it's a marathon, not a sprint. And we've got ourselves through to the next round of the cup. So what happens on Saturday, kind of like already for this start of the season, it's like you've made a cake, put a bit of a cherry on it, and then you go again. Come the week before Christmas when the Carabao Cup resumes. But again, the only way I see it is if we, last night Arsenal went out, Chelsea went out, and Spurs went out. So that's three of the big six gone in the next round. Liverpool were one penalty away from going out to Derby County. So for me, it shows that you take Man City out of it. This competition's there for the taking, in my opinion. I think even Man City on the day, we could have beaten them up here earlier in the season. So, it depends who we get in January as well, doesn't it? So, but
Yeah.
like I said, we've got to take it, as we've said numerous times, you've got to take it game by game. You can't just look forward. But like what I'll look at it as is look where we are 1st of February and look who we get in January first before you start judging what we're going to do for the rest of the season, because it's a big window in January. And if we get players like Madison and show some intent, then there's no reason why we won't get top four. I don't think we will. I think Liverpool will come good, and we'll probably get cheated out of it as well by the officials, like we have done early on these games. So yeah, I think top 10 still got to be a realistic goal.
Yeah.
Maybe top 8. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's just a case of waiting and seeing, what happens. And, I mean, I know Chris Wood scored a great goal last week, but he's not a prolific scorer. We know that he's not. We know he's more of a target man, that sort of striker. He's not what you call your typical goal scorer week in, week out, like your Callum Wilson or Isak when he's playing. But, in January, do we go for another striker? Do we look at the Blackburn striker, maybe Brereton Diaz, bring him in as a bench player, and then somebody you can bring off and get your goals as well? He scored a terrific equaliser against West Ham last night.
I think it's still a gamble. I won't say it's a gamble getting him. You can do it in the Championship, but the Premier League's another level up. And if you look at, say, Adam Armstrong, where he was doing at Blackburn, and then he's gone to Southampton, he hasn't really done it, has he? So, you could risk 15 million or whatever, but then you could look back at it and say, well, if he scored 0 goals in so many games and like that, you just go think, well, what was the point?
Yeah, for Chile, he played. He made 9 appearances. I think it was Copa America, and he scored 3 goals in 9 games at international level as well, which isn't bad at international level. 1 and 3, really, is it? That's So if you can do it at international level against good South American sides as well, then he's probably worth about 10-15 million £. And apparently there's a few Premier League clubs looking at him as well. So, Darren, would you gamble on someone like Brereton Diaz for 10 or 15 million to have on the bench? No?
No, because to be honest, if Word would have got him in the last transfer window.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
You've got to be real. You've got to be a bit realistic. If clubs are hesitating anyway to get him, if he was any good, he would be there now. They were asking daft money, but if he was any good, I think he would have been there now. To be fair, so you got Isak and you got Wilson and you got Wood. I would keep them the rest of the season, but I do think you need some creative midfielder players on the wings. That's what you're lacking, because, like you say, if we lose Mickey, get injured, who's going to come in? That's the issue I had last night.
Yeah,
ESM plays when he wants to play. I'm not a fan of ESM. I've never have been. He's a prima donna. But I like Willock. I like Joe Willock.
Yeah, oh yeah, Joe Willock. I mean, he had a great game last Sunday, I thought, and great that he got his goal as well. I mean, hopefully he goes on a scoring spree now. But I think Saturday. I technically think Saturday. I think J7 should come back into the side on the left anyway, ahead of ESM, because to me ESM doesn't look fully fit. But Joe Linton, we know, can play on that left hand side as well. It'll be between him and Murphy, I think, who plays on the left, if I'm honest, on Saturday. But I think Joe Linton could get the nod over Murphy. Do you think that, Darren?
I'm sorry.
I don't know, because Murphy's done again. Maybe one of them players I'm not a massive fan of, but when he's been coming in, he's done no wrong. But Joe Linton, does he give Sean Longstaff a rest in midfield because he played last night? So I would go for Willock, Bruno, and Joe Linton, Murphy on the left, and Amber on the right, and Wilson up front. That's how I would play. Botman, Shaw, Trippier, and Dan Burnett. I think that's the team on Saturday. That's my guess, mind you. I'm just saying my opinion.
Yeah, that actually sounds quite all right, actually, because I mean, like you say, it gives Longstaff a rest as well before, I mean, because he's played like last Sunday, then he's played Wednesday again, and I think you could be right. That wouldn't be a bad change to make, to be fair, and gives extra bite in midfield. Yeah,
I just think when he gets on the left attacking, he gets lost. I think it's in his game to be in this midfield now, in my opinion.
Yeah, because he can play that defensive midfield role as well and break up play and get it going forward again. So yeah,
and he plays good against the big teams and the crowd. They get on a Saturday night, the big game. He likes to play against the big game. He gets up for it. So
yeah,
I mean, that's what I would do. I don't know what you lads think.
Yeah, I mean, Rolly, what's your hello, Rolly? Anyway, by the way, sorry. But what's your thoughts on what Darren's just said there? I mean, maybe give Longstaff a rest and bring Joe Linton into the centre mid, and then put Murphy on the left.
To be honest, I don't think he'll drop Longstaff. I think he'll play him. I mean, he's played all through the spell where we've been playing sort of like 3 games in a week. And then we've got the break for the World Cup, and he's been superb in the last few Premier League games. So I don't see him dropping him. I think it'll be a case of whether it is Murphy or Joe Linton on the left. I think ASM. It's good that he played last night, but to get some minutes in his legs, so he's not played for a long time. So he's probably not up to the speed. And again, I mean, obviously, I couldn't see the game last night. But I spent sort of 3/4 of the game trying to see if I could find a feed somewhere to watch it.
Believe me, you're missing out. You're missing nothing. I'm just here to say that. You got a young kid next to you, see a mum on board. And here it's suddenly.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think there'll be many changes from the Southampton game.
I
mean, I want J7 to play, but he might start with Murphy on the left. I can't see him changing the midfield because they've been playing so well.
Bruno's going to be back, because I say John Jordan playing in the games, but his last night he looked like he was in the mood.
Well, Bruno's always going to start if he's fit.
But I'm devastated. John Jones got a new 1-year extension. The game, it's a shame, very shame, because he looked like an interest. He took a free kick, set across the knee. He tried and lob the keeper. It's frustrating. Why do we just do something like that?
I think the thing with John Joe, because he looked really good in pre-season, and then he got injured against Benfica, and he's only just started coming back. So it's almost like he's starting pre-season again. It's like his first game. So you the same with Maxi being out for so long. it'll take them a while to get back to top form. So they're going to have to spend some time on the bench and come on with cameos.
I would tend to look at the way the subs were used as well last night. Willock came on, what was it, the 89th minute, presumably to take a penalty. I would suggest he started on Saturday because he came on so late in the game. I don't think he wanted to come on at all. So Willock was on the bench. Bruno was on the bench, which suggests he started. Then for me, I think it's a case of either Joe Litton or Longstaff on the left, and Murphy wasn't in the team at all. So that would suggest to me Murphy's going on the left, not ASM. And it would be possibly between Joe Litton and Longstaff in the middle because both started, but both played Longstaff came off with a couple of minutes left, didn't he? And Joe Litton played the full game, but obviously Longstaff played Sunday and Joe Litton didn't. So Joe Litton, for me, would be better because I think he's got the fresher legs. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I agree, Sam. I mean, do you know what? It must be a lovely problem for Eddie Howe to have to think, who do I switch around? Who do I play in? Who do I put in? You know, and I mean, and this is only going to get better when we get more players in depth as well, more depth in the squad, because that's what we're lacking at the moment. I mean, got to remember what we were left with after 14 years of our former owner, who really did diddly squat basically with the squad and left us with players that we still had from the championship promotion season when Rafa was there. So you've got to eke these players out, but you've got to do it on a slow basis. You don't just do it in 1 or 2 transfer windows. It's going to take 3 or 4 maybe to get rid of all these players eventually, because you've still got to keep that harmony inside the dressing room, you know. Hence why you give the club captaincy, because it's just so it doesn't upset the dressing room, the balance of the dressing room, which she's right in doing, Eddie Howe. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting conundrum for him on Saturday afternoon. And it's probably causing Eddie Howe a nice headache to think, you know, who do I play? I mean, does the guy sleep well at night, you know, thinking, God, that must be going around his head who he's going to play and things like that when he's got all these players back. So,
I'm the opposite.
But that's what he gets millions for.
I don't think it's a good problem because I think he knows the players are not good enough.
Yeah.
You know, you want to play your strongest team every game, don't you?
Yeah.
They play shite on. So
that's
players
why we've had. Sorry. That's why we've hardly had any changes in the last 4 or 5 games. He's gone with the same team. And I think he's going to go pretty much the same. I can't see many changes unless someone picks up an injury between now and Saturday. I think the team that starts on Saturday will be very similar, if not exactly the same as the one that started at Southampton.
So if you want to win things and be in that top pick and 4, which you play your strongest team every game, don't you?
Yeah.
And last night tells whoever who was at the game, who knows your football well, like you lads and we do, that tells you the players who were playing the Cameroonians not good enough. And I do believe if you play your strongest team every game, and that's how your cities.
Well, City have got 2 strongest teams.
They've got, well, I would say, but say Liverpool when they won the league, they played their strongest team more or less every time, didn't they? The other time they'll play like 2 average players in the team, but they still have the strongest team all the time. Same defense, more or less the same midfield. But if we want to do good this season, we're going to play our strongest team. Yes, Johnny was on the corner. If we get two additions to the midfield, attack wide on the left and the right, and possible, I'll be happy with that personally.
I mean, the squad we've got at the moment isn't strong enough for the Champions League.
Yeah.
But I believe that if we manage to qualify, I think they'll do some major surgery in the summer to get the squad strong enough.
I don't know. I don't want us. Me personally, I would not want us in the Champions League. All right, the quiz on. I was unloaded the other day, and they put a question out. Would you have a good cup run? Would you be the final of the cup or Champions League? I chose a cup run because you've got to be like we're not set for the Champions League. Yes,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, we're not.
We're
I mean,
overachieving, and that goes down to Eddie Howe.
Mm.
He said, "Did you watch his podcast on?"
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm going to
With,
watch it at the
that
weekend.
interview you did the other day.
Yeah, it's one
Yeah,
of the
that's
best
really
things.
good.
It's one of the best things I've watched in a long time. He just talks absolutely sense. And when he got sacked, he wanted to learn what he'd done wrong. He wanted to see what he'd done wrong. People tell him. He took it in. He went and seen rugby coach, boxing coaches, and all that, how they go about the training. It's definitely worth a watch. It's one of the best things I've watched in life. It's just the lad for a young British manager. He's going to go a long way.
And
I mean, he's been managing since he was 29 years old, since he retired from football through injury. And, you know, I mean, you look at the job he did with Bournemouth. I mean, they were close to going out the Football League into the conference. He kept them up. And then he got them promoted through the leagues all the way up to the Premier League and kept them up in the Premier League. And, I mean, that was an amazing achievement. I mean, you look at things like the odd thing went against him in that last season because Villa scored a goal against Sheffield United, which wouldn't have counted had the technology been working. You know, so it would have been Villa going down that season rather than Bournemouth. And then he had the Ryan Fraser thing where he wouldn't sign a 6-week contract for Premier League Project Restart, just to see the team through for that 6 weeks. And that's all he had to sign for. And because he refused that as well, obviously that didn't help Bournemouth's cause either, because he was one of their best players in the team at that time. But, you know, so a couple of things there went against Eddie Howe for that. But for what he has done, and the way he's been abroad with these other managers, you know, on the training pitches with him and that, it's made him a better manager, because some managers, when they come out of their jobs, if they're sacked or leave or whatever, some of them go and just sit on their sofas or go on holidays for a year. But not Eddie Howe. He wanted to go out and about and find out how he could become a better manager. And, you know, I know he turned down the Celtic job, but he was always waiting, I think, for this job. And
I wouldn't say this job was the right job. He says the right job was he was waiting for the right job. It wasn't just a Newcastle job. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
He was waiting for the right job. It could have been another club he could have went to. But he wasn't just waiting for Newcastle. He was waiting for the right job, what attracted him, what appealed to him. So it wasn't just like you said, like he done the interview on a Zoom call, so he couldn't. It's different. We said it was hard to, like we are now trying to sell himself on a Zoom call. You couldn't be in the room showing him what he wanted to do. So that was tricky. What it was. Definitely watch it, Johnny. It's a good watch.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch it the weekend. I'm like, obviously I work tomorrow, but then I'm off Saturday, Sunday, and I've got to wait. And anyway, I've got deliveries coming on Saturday, so yeah, I'll definitely be watching it on Saturday. That's for sure. And it sounds like a good watch. I mean, I saw a little clip from what the Chronicle put out, and I didn't, and I thought, hang on, I'm going to watch this, and I've got it ready for the weekend to watch. But yeah, I mean, I like listening to Eddie Howe. I think he talks a lot of sense.
You do if you watch his press conferences.
Yeah,
he doesn't dive in when he answers a question. He takes a couple of seconds what to say. He's a very unique manager at the minute, and he's doing everything right. And I like him as a person, as a manager, and then hopefully he's doing it to keep me continue. I think you will.
And the way I look at it as well, Darren, is that you see these pundits and everything coming out and they're saying, oh, well, Eddie Howe might be there for a couple of years, then they need a big manager. Why do we need a big manager? Because Eddie Howe can become a big manager. He can come to elite manager. How do you think Klopp became the elite manager? How did Tuchel become the elite manager? Because they started from the bottom first and worked their way up. And that's exactly what Eddie Howe's doing. And he's proven that he can not only work at a bigger club, but he can also work with the finances. He can work with bigger players. I mean, Bruno's already come out and said how much he loves Eddie Howe and, how well he does in training. You don't hear one player coming out saying anything bad about Eddie Howe. They've all bought into everything he's done. Even Shelby said last season, he says, I'm 30-year-old. He said, I'm going home, falling asleep at 8 o'clock because I'm that tired. I need to go to bed.
Because under the previous manager, they had 3 days off when they won a game.
I think it was
Yeah.
Craig Hope tweeted, I think it's yesterday or day before, that we've got the biggest asset we've got is that for signing players is that they're guaranteed to get better technically and become better players working under Eddie Howe.
And as you say, Roy, that's what he said in the interview.
Yeah.
He said he told a man here that he's better on the training ground, learning players what to do better.
Mhm.
Guaranteed that. And that's what he said, didn't he?
Yeah.
He feels more at home when he's training people. And that's what he said. You watched it, mate. And he says he gets more out of training players on the training field. And that's just, I think he's right. You look at Amron, different player under Eddie Howe.
Yeah, he improved him. He's improved Joe Linton. He's got Longstaff coming back to the way he used to play under Rafa Benitez. He lost 2 years of his football because of Steve Bruce, like a lot of the players did, and he's just getting a tune out of these players. And when Sky the other week, when we beat Tottenham, says, "Oh well, but you've got the money," and he said it's got nothing to do with money. He says, "Give credit to the players that were already at this football club," and that's absolutely spot on, because you can say, yes, we've got Bruno, we've got Botman, we've got Pope, but they forget there's a lot of these players still at the club that were there previously, but other managers didn't get a tune out of them. Like Bruce didn't. He didn't get a tune out of anybody. But Eddie Howe's getting a tune out of them. He's getting a tune out of Almiron this season. He's on fire. And I expect Miggy will probably score again on Saturday, if I'm honest. I said Miggy would get to double figures probably around mid-January. That's totally gone out the window. If I'd put a bet on that, I would have lost that already, because I reckon if he doesn't hit double figures Saturday, he'll definitely hit it just after Christmas.
Yeah.
I do think Saturday will be a bit tricky game, though.
Yeah, against Chelsea it will be.
Yes. Go on, mate.
It should be a tricky game, but the way Chelsea have been at the moment, it might not be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm normally very reserved on my predictions for Newcastle games, because normally when I make a prediction, it goes totally the opposite way. But the way we've been playing, the way we press, the way they've been defending, if we get up early in the game, it could be a bloodbath for them, because we've been Southampton, we were clinical.
Yeah,
but it depends on which Chelsea turns up.
If they can get the crowd going as well, because that's another thing Crystal Palace done well yesterday. They've got the crowd quiet.
Yeah,
that's a good thing they got wrong, and they've got the great Crystal Palace. The crowd was quiet. We're trying to sing. Go about.
Surely as well on Saturday, there's no pressure anymore. I know we're at home, but we're going to be in the top four anyway. Come no matter what happens at 7:15 on Saturday. We've got 27 points on the board already. The pressure is surely on Chelsea to win the game, to get it back, to cut the gap on with. That's the pressure. The pressure should be. I know we're at home, but they're the ones that have to win. A draw for us would be. I still think if we get a draw, it's a very good result, because it's another game we're beaten. So for me,
I agree
no matter what happens on Saturday, I think we can just enjoy it.
Chelsea lost the last 2-3 games on the trot, haven't they?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
the pressure's on them, not us, for me.
Destroyed by Brighton.
Brighton, yeah, and Man City beat them as well. So
Arsenal,
yeah.
Arsenal beat them.
Arsenal beat them 1-0 last Sunday, didn't they?
Yeah, but I mean, they were awful last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal should have beaten them by more.
Yeah,
they were really poor.
If the crowd, if they can get the crowd, they need to get the crowd involved and play good play. I think we will. I think Eddie Howe will say, last game, you get the players up for it. I think you will do that. But like I said, that's the back four. It'll be Pope, Trippier, Botman, Shaw, and Dan Burn. Because I think he likes Dan Burn. I'd be surprised if he drops him, but Dan Burn. And then they get Wilson, Almiron. Who do you play on the left? That's the question, isn't it? The $1 million question.
There's a brilliant article in the Athletic a couple of days ago, and it's going through the numbers that explain why we're doing so well. And one of the things was that we haven't conceded a first half goal since we played Wolves.
Good deal.
I didn't realise it was that long, and you don't. I mean, if you're not conceding in the first half, obviously if we get ahead, that puts us in a great position. But it just piles the pressure on them because they're thinking, well, we can't score.
It's what we do off the ball, or the players we're closing down, which we never used to do.
High press. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, the way we're applying it now, I don't think there are many teams in the league that can actually live with a high press.
No. And I think anyhow,
Man City maybe.
Like for me, I didn't think we played well last Sunday either. And we still scored 4 goals and we still won pretty comfortably. And for me, I don't think we got the first gear. I thought we were pretty.
Say that.
Yeah.
4 shots on target, Sam, all hit the back of the net. That's all we had all game. 4 shots on target. And that's what I'm saying. If we can have an off day and beat teams like that, I mean, I know we're not going to face it like Southampton every week, but if we're beating teams, even if it's 1 or 2-0 and we're not playing well, and it's only our shot on target or 2 shots on target and we've won the game 2-0, teams must be frightened of that and thinking, Jesus, if they're having an off day but they can still win, you know, what they're going to do when they're on that peak. That's the thing. But I know it's early in the season and we'll just have to see what happens after the Christmas and the New Year once that all starts again. I'll just nip into some comments. Lewis says, I'll come on next week, got the Man U game on.
Better than that, I think Dubravka's playing for Man U. That's quite funny, isn't it?
Yeah, he's in goal tonight for them, yeah.
It's cup time. You'll be cup time if he comes back in January.
Yeah.
He wouldn't get on the pitch anyway.
He wouldn't. He left him bad terms.
Sefton Max says, Sefton's announced. Good evening, Sefton. Evening all. Wembley, here we come. Hope we draw Blackburn away. Northwest Mags on tour. Yeah, that would be an all right draw, wouldn't it? Wayne says, Sam, have you got that bug, bud? Because I've had it, wipes you out. There you are, Wayne. The same bug as you, Sam.
No, I'm fine. My throat, that's fine. It's just my nose. I can't breathe out of my nose or breathe in or out of my nose. It's literally bugged up. It's like everything else is fine, but I'm just bugged up right on my nose. It's like I'm sneezing all the time. It's just flamming. But hey-ho.
Yeah.
Still here.
Sefton says, Liverpool, Newcastle in the final. He says him and Mrs. Sefton can have a romantic weekend supporting both clubs, but the two victorious. Yeah, because his wife's a Liverpool fan, you see. So
yeah, my other half's a Liverpool fan as well.
Alan says, I'd like to see it in January, a right back in the midfield. Yeah, for cover for Trippier. Yeah, I get that one.
Well, you're not thinking you're not going to get a top right back, are you?
No.
I'm saying
right
back. Who's want to go and come play at number 2?
Yeah,
the few and far between as well.
Yeah,
you can't really name 4 or 5 good right backs in the world, can you? You struggle after maybe 1 or 2, and then you think, who else? It's like
saying you've got Kraft come back. What the point going buying a right back? Manchu will do to the end of the season, and then Kraft's back. So it's no point going get a right back just for the sake of it. Just put up Manchu. The Trippier gets injured, he gets injured.
Yeah, he's out of contract next summer as well, Manchu.
So it's Kraft will be back next season. You know he will. So just
what's
the point? I can't see the point going buying a right back because you don't need a right back personally.
No,
you put up Manchu on right back.
Sefton says, I'm hearing reports we are digging down from the centre of the pitch to expand attendance at St James. I've not heard that one, but I suppose they're looking into everything, aren't they, the owners? And, you know, they'll have people doing all the research for them, what they can do and what they can't do. And Sefton says, didn't they do this at the Plate Stadium in Barcelona? I think they did, yeah. I'm sure they did, yeah. Luke says, fancy us, St James's Park, a huge factor in this one against Chelsea. Sefton says 2-0 against Chelsea for us. I agree with Darren, we'll be well up for this game. Yeah, we will be. I mean, you know, Eddie Howe won't want us playing poorly against Chelsea, that's for sure. You want to see a good performance. And Stefan says, let's sign off to the World Cup with victorious. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and why not?
Totally.
Just got somebody else I'll bring in from the green room. Hi, Lewis, you
Sorry,
all right?
I'm jumping on for 15 minutes because I'm watching the Man U game.
Okay, mate.
Totally.
Sorry, Sam. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to mention just before we quickly change tack, we'll quickly go back to Southampton. Are you not surprised they went for Luton's manager to replace Hasenhüttl? I mean, they needed. I think they need somebody to keep them up, and I don't know if he's the man to keep them up. It's a canny jump from Luton to the Premier League. Like, I mean, not that I want them to keep because I mean, it's a bit for me. They've got to be one of the favourites to go down for that. I think. Yeah, well, he's done it. Luton's all right, but it's a completely different kettle of fish trying to keep a team in the Premier League to get them promoted, mind.
Do you not think because he's a young manager, like a young British manager, you want to clubs now going for younger managers to try and do it?
What, and copy what we're doing?
No, like and I was saying it's maybe the way forward now. What's the point? Gang gets a foreign manager to come to the country where it might not work. Do you know what I mean?
He did leave Luton the last time, didn't he? And went to another club, and then he failed.
With nothing, but I don't know. I think it's I don't think it's good to see lower managers given the chance to see what they can do. Yes, like Sam says, the big gamble on him, but
it is a risk.
It's a risk, but Southampton's give him a 3.5-year contract, so can't give him a chance.
Suppose he might be cheap wages. Well, no, he might not be on massive wages. So if they do get rid of him, it might not be such as a big of payoff as it would be a foreign manager, But I just thought I'd say it because I found it a bit baffling that they've got rid of somebody who's kept them as opposed to somebody who's improved at this level, But
But if you get a foreign manager, you've got to bring all their backroom staff in.
Yeah.
So that's another thing you look at. Like, other chairmen get sick of that sort of stuff.
I mean, I look at like Wolverhampton Wanderers. They want to keep Steve Davis at the end of the season after Lopetegui turned them down, and then he said, "Oh, he had a change of heart," and then he said, "Oh no, I'll take the Wolves job." Well, to me, that's a risk because obviously this guy hasn't been in the Premier League before, so it's going to be a first time for him in the Premier League. And is he the type of manager who's got the stomach for a relegation fight? Because that's what Wolves are in now, a relegation fight. And, when you think he got sacked from Spain because he went behind their back and started talking to Real Madrid, and he got sacked just before the 2018 World Cup, the 24 hours before the tournament started, and he got sacked from Sevilla just recently. I think that's a gamble as well. And if Wolves drop, then that gamble hasn't paid off either. So it's a bit of a strange one to me. I mean, all these clubs are strange with some of these appointments I have. I mean, Nathan Jones, yes, that's going to be a bit of a gamble. I mean, he's done well with Luton. He got them to the playoffs last season. Okay, fair enough. They got well beaten in the playoffs. In the semi-finals, but he off Huddersfield Town. But obviously, I'm surprised he has left them because they're about 9th in the Championship at the moment, just outside the playoffs again. So obviously, he's left them at the right time, and Luton fans didn't want him going. So I mean, he may come in, he might do well for Southampton, keep them up in the Premier League. Who knows? But there again, he might not. But the one thing is, at least we've seen Hasenhüttl off now, and we don't have to listen to his whining no more.
Yeah,
might see Power off on Saturday for beat Chelsea. The way they're going, the way their order is.
So going on to today, I mean, Southgate named his England squad today for the forthcoming World Cup. And obviously, Nick Pope, he's in the team.
In the middle of our goal.
As is Kieran Trippier. And this man has made a return to the England squad after 3 years out, Callum Wilson. I mean, absolutely brilliant. We've got 3 players in the squad. We should have had 4 in because I believe this man should have been in the squad
Yes.
as well, Dan
Yeah.
Byrne. Because he can play left back and centre half, so you've got 2 defenders and 1 there. I'll go around the table now. So, hang on, I'll just take them off. Right. So I'll come to you first, Sam. What's your thoughts on the England squad?
Yeah,
How far will we go?
I'm pleased for the 3 lads that I've got in. But again, I think Southgate's the squad's got a lot of big desired about of who he's selected. I agree with like Madison being put in because they've shown good form up into it and they deserve the call up. But there's still people like Maguire, Luke Shaw, and how they get in the team is beyond me. How they get in the squad. They've hardly played any football. Calvin Phillips as well. How's he in that squad where he hasn't kicked a ball since September, I think? It really is baffling how, he has his favourites and he still picks them rather than a lot of players who are on form. And I agree. I think Dan Burn should have gone because he's a versatile defender who can play left back if needed, centre half if needed. So, what happens in the first game of the season? You've got Maguire playing, he makes a mistake, and he costs you a goal. What's that going to look like? I'm not confident for this World Cup. I'm really not. I just think it's going to be a damn squib for us, and I don't think the players will handle the temperatures either over there. If I'm being honest, I think because a lot of them haven't played in them temperatures. I just think this is this. If we feel this tournament, which I predict we will, unfortunately, Southgate's got to go. Simple as that. Like, I don't want him as manager anyways, but it just speeds up the process. So if he's not cutting the mustard, then we've got to cut him. Simple as that,
I mean, I look at this group, and you've got Iran, the USA, and you've got Wales in there. Now, technically, we should get out of that group, no problem.
Yep.
But this is England we're talking about, but we should have enough in that team to get out of that group. I mean, Darren, what's your thoughts on the squad today, mate? With all the obviously the 3 Newcastle players being in there, and obviously with other players that he's picked. I mean, how far do you think the squad can go in the World Cup?
Personally, I couldn't give a monkey how we get knocked out because I've got no interest in it. Southgate, I have got the entire. I'm not a fan of Southgate. He's picked his blue-eyed boys, and I hope we get knocked out. I hope we get hammered. I hope we lose every game. So and I'm happy for Pope and Trippier and Wilson, but I'm not even bothered with the games. I couldn't tell you who will play for you. I couldn't even tell you what day they're on. That's how much lack of interest I've got. And it's all around the world. It's all around the world. UK. Everybody asks. You see no plans going. You see nothing at all. No one's talking about it. Boss guys about news, and he only mentioned it. Years ago, you should see flags, didn't you?
Yeah.
You see now with Tony was talking about it. So me personally, I couldn't give a toss. And I hope Southgate's not the man at all. I've got any faith in him. He's went against everything he said. You would never pick players who's not performance, and he's lied. So how can you trust somebody who lie in the national team? So that I'm being brutally honest there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Darren. I mean, that was what he said when he first got the job. I'll pick players who are on form and are playing well. So, I mean, if you want to pick players on form, so then why is Tomori, who plays for AC Milan, the ex-Chelsea youngster, why is he not in the squad ahead of Maguire? Because he won a title in Serie A last season with AC Milan, is one of the best defenders in Italy, and he can't get in the England team. It's just absolutely strange, and why can't Ivan Toney get a place on that bench as well? Because he can take a good penalty in. So you just sort of think, what is Southgate doing? I mean, Kane's always going to be in there because he's England captain, so they're not going to drop him. And he does always come up with the goods, I suppose.
They've picked Rashford, Marcus Rashford, because because he's a good lad, not because he's a
Yeah.
footballer, because what he's done for in his achievement off the pitch. Fair play to the kid, but on the pitch, he should be in that squad. So everybody's saying the same thing. So you haven't heard it. Who's your start? What you want in 11? You want to know? You kind of decide.
He's got to start with Trippier, surely, hasn't he? So he's got to start him at right back. I mean, if he wants to get far in the World Cup, he's got to start with Trippier, you know. And if he's going to, but the thing is, when Callum's playing, if he plays Callum Wilson, he's going to have to play attacking football, because if he plays that boring defensive stuff, Callum Wilson's going to be isolated.
Callum Wilson, no, he likes to play one up front.
Yeah, that's going to be Kane.
Unless he gets gingered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Rolly, what's your thoughts on the squad today? And
I'm pleased that our guys got in. I think Dan Burn's a bit unlucky. I would disagree with Darren on Rashford, because I think that he's actually come into some form over the last few games. So I don't have too much problem with him going. Maguire and Phillips are a bit of a mystery, but I think it's like with any manager, even at club level, they have their favourites and they have the people that they've worked with a lot. And at this late stage, I don't think that there are going to be a lot of players coming into the squad who've never played or who possibly warrant it, because he doesn't know them. So he'll have a core of players that he is worked with and trusts, and then you get the others added in, like the Wilsons, like Maddisons, who have been exceptional over the last couple of months and have worked their way in. As to how we'll do, who knows? We could bomb, or we could do like we did in the Euros. I think the core of the squads is decent. Like Declan Rice, I think that's a good pick. Obviously, Kane. I like most of the forward players they put in the midfield. Again, he's taken a gamble on Phillips because he's got Declan Rice already, and because he's Phillips has played. He played last night, and he'll probably play at the weekend. He'll have some minutes in his legs. I think Kyle Walker was more of a gamble. But they've got Ben White from Arsenal, and that could quite have easily have been Dan Burn, because they're very similar in the fact that they can both play the fullback position and centre half.
Yeah. I mean, Luke's put his comment there. He says Dan Burn's very unlucky in my eyes, but Southgate has his favourites. He does, yeah, absolutely. And then he goes on to say, but I'm pleased for the three lads who have been picked. But the thing is, so you look at Rashford, right?
I'm going to have to go, but I have to go anyway, because I'm going to watch the rest of the second half. But I'm just going to say,
all right.
I want to say, I'm glad our three players got picked for England, but I wish it was four. But like some of the players who've been picked, I go like, how on goddamn earth they're being picked?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's not picking players on form.
No, like if that's the case, then I think Tony should be picked, the next Newcastle player, and obviously Dan Burn should be picked.
I think the problem is saying if you only pick players that are on form, you're going to have almost totally different squads every time you pick an international team, so you can get no sort of cohesion. But
but then Ivan Toney scored more goals this season and had assists as well than what Rashford's had. So technically, in my eyes, and I think probably Sam would agree, Darren would agree, that Ivan Toney in any way should be ahead of Rashford in the pecking order, really.
Maybe
I think he should be.
Maybe he didn't impress in the training when he was in the last squad.
But why do you call him up and not play him against Italy then?
Yeah,
can understand the logic.
It may be, say,
No,
maybe
but
there's
you
something
still-
happened during the camp that
You
in
know,
the
but
last squad that he thought, no, I don't fancy him.
I know, but I can't see the point of calling him up in the first place if you're not going to play him, because we're getting weekends 81 out. Last 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour. Go on, mate, so show me what you can do. To me, that's bad management.
Maybe.
And they say
Villa have just gone one up.
What?
Who?
Villa have just gone one up.
Yeah,
Yes,
and guess who's in goal for Man U
yeah.
tonight? And guess who's in goal for Man U tonight?
Yeah, Dubs,
Martin
Dubravka.
Dubravka's in goal for them.
He didn't have much chance on the goal.
No.
All right.
Don't
I'll
get
see
us
you
wrong.
later, and I'll see you all
See you later.
next one. See you. Bye.
Don't get us wrong. Rashford in his day was a good player. I just don't think he's the same player what he was. I think you need to leave the Man U to get his career back on track.
Yeah,
I
do as well.
But he hasn't done enough. He hasn't done enough all season. And he's done what he's done last season for Man U. He's done nothing really, has he? Do you know what I mean?
I thought he was poor in the Euros, to be honest, Darren.
Yeah, he was, mate. He was. But Ivan Toney, I like Ivan Toney. He should have been in the squad.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree that he should be in the squad, but again, managers have their favourites. Maybe he didn't fit in with the squad, the rest of the squad. There could be a number of reasons.
I respect your opinion there, mate, but I say I didn't get wrong. I totally respect your opinion. 1-1.
Oh, good.
It's 1-1 now, is it? Gosh, that was quick.
Martial. 1-1.
But I mean, but then Ivan Toney should be ahead of Rashford. I mean, you've got to look at the season. Ivan Toney, 13 games, 8 goals, 2 assists. I mean, it speaks for itself there, He's banging form, isn't he, compared to what Rashford is? I mean, I know Marcus Rashford has got bits and pieces to his game, but I mean, Rashford's played 13 games, 4 goals and 2 assists. The maths don't add up on Rashford compared to Toney. Ivan Toney's proved that he's Premier League quality because not only done it last season, but he started on fire this season and against good teams, likes of Man United, when they beat Man United 4-0 down there. He's good with free kicks.
A question, what you want in 11? Out of the 26, who's your starting lineup?
Well, that's a hard one, isn't it? I mean,
I'm saying that's our team now. So what formation and who would you play?
I mean, I know Little Arms normally gets into goal, but I would say put Pope ahead of him. Because you've got to look at Pope's a better keeper.
Is that your head saying that, or is that we all know what's going to play in goal? I'm saying
Pope because defensively he's been better than what Pickford has. I mean, he's got more clean sheets than Pickford.
I like Ramsdale. I don't really go, but I like Ramsdale and Ramsdale's keeper.
Yeah, Ramsdale's not a bad keeper, is he?
We've got 3 quality keepers, even though one's got little arms. I think any one of the 3 that we're taking will do a really good job. So that's one of the areas I'm not worried about.
Little Arm's height to me can't dominate his box. The cross comes and it's just the height on him. That's the only thing I'd say for the cross. But Ramsdale and Pope, I'm happy with. You're right back.
It's got to start Trippier.
Trippier 100%. And then John Stones.
Yeah.
He'll probably do Stones and Maguire because they've played together a lot of times.
Yeah, I think.
And
Harry Potter will get it, unfortunately.
I think that's one of the reasons why Maguire is going, is because he's played so often with Stones and they know each other.
I think you play Luke Shaw left back.
Yeah.
You might play what you call it, Saka, like you did in the bloody 2 games against Italy and Germany.
I hope not. I'll be devastated. He's not a left back, the lad.
Oh.
And then your two centre midfield players. So would you play a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1? It's hard. You want to front Harry Kane 100%.
Yeah. I think you'll play Declan Rice.
Yes, Declan Rice. Henderson.
We'd probably play him, but
I think you play Sterling, Foden.
Who was it?
Yeah.
Kane.
Kane, that's Sterling, Foden. One more. Who's there?
Yeah, Luke says not T-Rex arms.
Might play Gallagher or Maddison in midfield.
Would he play Grealish and put Grealish on the left and Foden behind Kane?
I saw this meme the other day. I think it's yesterday, saying that it had a picture of Southgate saying, "Oh, I'm going to have to consider picking that Alice band wearing Ponce because I can't pick Almiron."
Gosh.
But saying about that, we're struggling now.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Because it's a really difficult choice to make. Even from when you're given the squad, who to pick.
And to be honest, as soon as you play a good team, we're getting beat, and it's been proven the Six Nations, whatever. We played a good team. We got bit slapped. You can out.
That Nations League, yeah.
If we manage to get through, scrape through probably.
Well, the thing about it is that we should qualify from the group because our group's not very strong. But then it's a case of it's a one-off game, and if they're up for it and the other side aren't, or so it comes a knockout competition, you're going to have upsets.
I just got.
I mean, you go back to the Euros. I mean, we got out with that group. I mean, we beat Croatia 1-0, 0-0 with Scotland, which was an awful game, and I think then we beat Czech Republic 3-0. But I mean, we got through that group, and then I know it was great because we beat Germany in that second round. But let's not take it away. That Germany team wasn't the great Germany team of all. I mean, Muller missed a sitter that day as well. I mean, he had the freedom of Wembley and he missed it. So,
I think the other thing I'd say is that sometimes teams build up momentum, and it's not necessarily the best team in the competition that wins it. There being many a time where, I mean, my sort of first real memory of the World Cup was the Spain '82, where Brazil had still one of the best sides I've seen them have since then, and they didn't win it. It's Italia '90. Again, you got the best team didn't win that. It's not always the best team that wins. It's the ones that can pick up that momentum when they come out of the group stages and carry it through. And then if you get to the final, it's who can take the heat, who's got the balls to grab the game and take it to the other side. So,
I mean, Wayne says Callum Wilson top scorer at the World Cup. Would love it. I mean, he's laughing, so yeah, because we know it's not going to happen, don't we? Because he's going to play his favourites, not T-Rex arms. And Wayne says Pope for me, he's a giant in goal. Yeah, he is. I mean, he's massive, Pope, and even Luke says let's go for Pope as well. I mean, it's one of them.
Something don't think it's blue by boys. Everybody knows it.
Yeah. I mean, the last World Cup in 2018, we got the semi-finals. We were 1-0 up thanks to Trippier in that game with one of his trademark free kicks. But after that, we didn't put the chances away and we sat back. And what happened? Croatia turned around and beat us in extra time. You look at the final at Wembley.
We would have got beat against the final against France.
The French. Oh, yeah. And I mean, then you look at the final against Italy in the Euro final. We go 1-0 up to Luke Shaw. Yeah, we sat back instead of going forward. If we'd kept attacking, we probably would have got 2 or 3 in that game and then probably won it. And because I don't think Italy were that great.
That's Southgate's inexperienced being a manager.
Yeah.
He bottled it. It was that bottled it.
You give Grealish 10 to 5 minutes. Should have been a lot. He should have been on the pitch a lot earlier.
And why ask a young lad like Saka and Sancho to go and take penalties in a penalty shootout when Grealish was clearly saying to him, "I want to take a penalty. Let me take one. Let me be in the first 5." You know, I mean, the pressure on them young lads. I mean, I know Rashford missed his, which I was surprised at.
But if they've asked to take the penalty, no one knows the truth, Tony. Like say, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly what I asked. He wanted to take it, and Southgate had an opinion against. Well, Grealish not taking it, so it's all on opinion. Southgate 5 take the penalty. They met the young lads when they want to take it. But
yeah,
that's the only thing I'll say.
I mean, you know, you look at this World Cup. I mean, technically, this World Cup's come at the wrong time. I mean, we're having a World Cup in the middle of a season, which is, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. If I'm honest, you know, I've got nothing against Qatar, but it should never have gone to Qatar. It should have been, you know, technically it should have been in the summer, and it should have been played somewhere where it wasn't as hot as it is in Qatar. I mean, it's still going to be about 40 degrees, I think, don't it? So it's not really going to cool down that much.
If you use your roaming data, it's going to cost you £1,000 a day or something.
What's that for?
Roaming data, something said it cost you a fortune.
Jesus Christ.
Aye.
That's just...
That
is absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know how true it was, but if you use your roaming data, it's going to cost you kind of a bit of money. If you phone someone, it's going to cost like £6 a minute or something.
I would imagine it would cost quite a bit of money, to be fair, because I mean, in the Middle East, I mean, this guy I'll put on screen here. I mean, you know, he's now saying, "Oh, Qatar shouldn't have had the World Cup." That's after he got his brown envelope and he had his payday from them. I thought that was probably the good picture to put on. But yeah, I mean, Sepp Blatter coming out and saying, "Oh well, the World Cup shouldn't have been held in Qatar. It's a mistake." Well, no, it's not, Sepp Blatter, because you accepted a brown envelope to host a World Cup in Qatar, and it was proven that the 2 envelopes you had both had Qatar in each one. So either one you opened was going to be Qatar. So it was all a fix anyway, and everybody knows it was a con. But you know, I mean,
I laugh because he's trying to put the blame on Blatter for it. So he's trying to put the blame on Platini because saying, "Oh, Platini's 4 votes meant it." I was like, "Aye, there's someone trying to bloody shift the blamers and then blame it on someone else when you know you can't admit responsibility that he's part of the reason why Qatar have got the World Cup and just a corrupt cunt, isn't he? I hate saying that word, but that's what he is. And the whole lot of FIFA are corrupt. It's only so that we couldn't have it. That's all it is, because it was either going to be us. I think America were going to either have it or it was Qatar. They didn't want us to have it. What was it, 2-1 Villa?
Yeah, own goal.
Own goal by Dallo.
Score goal.
I mean, Darren, what's your thoughts on what Sepp Blatter's saying now? He's now saying that Qatar shouldn't have been held in Qatar, the World Cup, and you know, I mean, we know what he's like. We know he took pungs for this and backhanders and everything, and him and Platini were thick in it, weren't they, together? So, you know, I mean, what's your thoughts on what he said?
I think Sam hit the nail on the head. He's all corrupt. FIFA's all corrupt.
Yeah.
So I don't think. To be fair, I just don't think we should be discussing it because, like I say, it's corrupt. They want whatever they want, they'll get. It's all money and corrupt.
That's all it boils down to with FIFA money in it, and you know, I mean, you're right there. I mean, what we'll do now, we'll look forward to the game on Saturday as well. I mean, 5:30 p.m. kickoff at St James's Park, home to Chelsea, live on Sky Sports as well. You know, it should be a cracking game. Man in the middle is this guy on screen now, Rob Jones. You know, 28 yellow cards in 8 games this season. No sendings offs, no red cards, no second yellow cards, and he's given 2 penalties as well. So he likes these yellow cards.
I'm not too concerned about it. I'm more concerned about VAR.
Yeah, but I think it's Andy Madley who's Madley's on VAR.
The referee, no, he doesn't rule the show. It's the VAR man.
Yeah. Andy Madley's the VAR man, and his assistant is Dan Cook.
That's the one you want to put on screen, Mr. VAR man.
Yeah, the VAR man, yeah. But yeah, I mean, 5:30 kickoff. I mean, how do you see the game going, Sam?
Hopefully 3 more points. That's what we've come to expect now. Just 3 more points will do. I don't care how we'll win on Saturday, as long as you end this fantastic start of the first half of the season on a high. But as I've said, the pressure is on Chelsea, not us, because they have to win to get back to close the gap onto us. So even the draw is a good result for us because it keeps the gap the same. So, and we're not going to be outside the top 4, so it doesn't matter what happens.
Rashford is just Mr. Sitter.
Yeah, he should be in the game with England squad.
Yeah, swap with Tony.
I think,
good run.
I think for me, it'll be a case of we're starting with high intensity pressing, get the crowd up for it. This could have the reminders of, remember when we were playing Arsenal last season where we were just in their faces the whole game and they just couldn't breathe. I want that on Saturday so we can go into the World Cup buzzing, like knowing that, you know what, the players of the world are good and that, yeah, you know, we're going to have 4 weeks of borathon back from Gareth Southgate's team, but then when we come back on, I think we come back before Boxing Day, don't we, for the next round of the Cup. I think is it the 20th or something, or something daft like that.
Yeah.
That weekend, you know, yeah, then we can look forward to that, and then we just think, well, got 3 games in the World Cup, then we've got the transfer window open. So, yeah, I'm going to say we're going to win 2-1. I think we'll go 2-0 up, and then they'll pull one back later on, but it'll be a comfortable 2-1. I feel strange saying that, but I think the game will be over when they score. It'll be like a late injury time goal or something like that. Because that seems to be what we're conceding. When we're conceding, it's like when the game's over. So, but I mean, 2-1 doesn't sound like it's game over, but it will be because it's probably one of the last kicks of the game, and you know, but it'll be 2-0. I think, you know, Aubameyang, he always seems to score against us for Arsenal, but he just doesn't look interested. He just doesn't look like he wants to play football, never mind anything else. So, I think Botman and Shaw will be a match. It'll be more than a match for him. I think Sterling just looks like he hasn't scored since August. He always seems to score against us for Man City as well. But I think we'll have his number on Saturday. I think if I'm being honest, they should be worried about us than we should be worried about them.
Yeah, I totally agree, Sam. And who's your goal scorer for Saturday?
I'm going to say Wilson and Bruno because I think you might see Bruno a bit further forward than what he's used to playing. I know Shelby's back, but I don't think Shelby's start. I think he might. I didn't see Longstaff before, but looking back, I think he might sacrifice Longstaff to play a bit deeper on net. Will it go? I mean, Bruno will have a bit more action upfield than sacrifice Bruno and play like anything else, you know. So
2-2.
Rashford.
Rashford.
Oh, he's back.
He scored this time, did he?
Yeah. But the last one wasn't. When I saw it again, it wasn't as open as it seemed first time.
You expected a score though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Darren, what's your thoughts for Saturday and score result and player score and who's going to score the goals?
I'll take a 2-1, 100%. I do think it's going to be a lively game. It's going to be a Chelsea or a dirty team as well.
Yeah.
I'll take a 1. I'd love to get the 3 points in 30 points, but I've got a sneaky feeling maybe a 1-1. I fancy Wilson. If we win 2-1, I'm going for a Wilson and a Botman goal.
Botman, yeah. I would love to see Botman get a goal, I think.
He's due a goal, definitely. A 1-1, Wilson, 1-1. That's me.
Yeah. I bet if Botman scores, I bet he goes into a wild celebration because he's been dying to get a goal, hasn't he? He got denied at Fulham, didn't he, by the goalkeeper?
Well, his penalty was an awful penalty. Oh, Christ, what's he doing with that?
Yeah. Yeah, Bruno's weren't much better, was it? But at least we got through. If
Willock's playing, I can fancy Willock for a goal too. I like Willock. I mean, he's coming on like a tree. He's got his mojo back. He's got his smile back on his face. And he's playing good football, Joe Willock. So I'm a big fan of Willock. He does a lot of work off the ball what people don't really see what he does off the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Willock, I like Joe Willock. I've always liked Joe Willock. He's always been great. I mean, when they had him on loan but when we brought him back to the club permanently, I mean, Eddie Howe found out why his performances weren't there. And because Steve Bruce wouldn't let him live near the city centre and stuck him out in the middle of nowhere in Northumberland. So the lad was on his own, basically. And can't blame the lad for being a bit upset and a bit down because, I mean, you're a 22-year-old lad, you've come from London and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere where probably the nearest pub's like 2 miles away from you. And, you can't go out and about in the city centre and go to the restaurants or anything like that. You've got to rely on getting transport to get you there. So no wonder the lad had, no wonder he wasn't enjoying his football. And but Eddie got him moved closer to Newcastle, and we're seeing the rewards. But if we don't get, a point's a good result. But if we get all 3, even better. What's your thoughts, Rolly?
I think it's going to go either. I think we'll win. And I think it's going to go either one of 2 ways. It'll either be a really tough 1-0 win, or we'll do a Brighton on them. For a change, I'm going to be an optimistic, and I'm going to go for a 4-0 win.
What? 4-0? Yeah. Gosh, that is optimistic.
I want what you were drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
This is based on how they've been playing at the moment and how we've been playing, because they've not been very good. I mean, they were lucky they only lost 1-0 to Arsenal. They got hammered by Brighton. And they're at St James's Park. Well,
on a Friday night, on a Saturday night game, crowd lively, flags going.
If we get an early goal, I think we could go do a number on them. I think one of the big boys deserves to get a thumping from us, some payback for previous seasons. But
all Chelsea do because the beauties for the last few seasons as well, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. And then they've got so many people that players that will be going for the World Cup. They might not want to get injured.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last time we beat Chelsea at St James's Park, remember Isaac Hayden's header in injury time?
Yeah.
That were only shot on target the whole game.
Yeah.
It's about the only time we went in their half.
Good way to win a game.
Who was that under?
Bruce.
Cabbage.
Bruce, was it?
Lampard was Chelsea's manager.
Oh, yeah.
It was the last game before lockdown, before COVID.
Yeah, for one out.
And he scored he scored a winner, and I think it was 94th minute or something, and a shithousery win against Chelsea. But fantastic that day! And I remember his wild celebrations, Isaac Hayden as well. Got Pete in the. Hi, Pete. You all right, mate?
All right, Tony.
Yeah, you.
Yes, can it?
I'll ask you the same question, Pete. So Saturday's game, 5:30 kick-off against Chelsea at home, in front of a sellout crowd under the lights. And how do you think the game will go on Saturday? And what is your scoreline and goal scorers?
We can beat Chelsea. I mean, they're just on a rotten run at the moment. I've just done a preview with a Chelsea fan, and he's not looking forward. He thinks we're going to beat Chelsea as well. I mean, they're so poor at the minute, Chelsea. This is probably one of the worst I've seen them play. And just the way we're playing just gives us that advantage. We take that game to them, we're walking our home turf with all 3 points.
Yeah. And what scoreline are you going for, Pete?
3-1 Newcastle. I don't see why not. We can win by that scoreline.
Yeah, I mean, Rolly's saying 4-0, but I mean, has he been a bit too optimistic there with 4-0?
Why?
I mean,
you can be optimistic now with the way we're playing. I mean, did anyone think we would stick 5 past Brentford? Did anyone think we'd stick 4 past Villa, Fulham, Southampton?
Yeah.
No, they're poor sides, but
it's almost at the moment the form we're in. It's almost a rarity if we only score 2 goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is as well. I mean, you look at the you look at Liverpool. I mean, they went to Fulham and only got a 2-2 draw. Although Klopp did come out and say, "Oh, by the way, the reason we didn't win at Fulham was because of that pitch." I mean, the guy's got every excuse under the sun, hasn't he? I mean,
it's not Klopp, it's Mr. Teeth now.
Mr. Teeth, yeah, it's got nothing to do with the pitch, has it? It's it's just because his players couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and Fulham were just too good for them that day. So, but he doesn't like to say, he doesn't like to congratulate the other team. He likes to just say, he finds an excuse and something like, the referee didn't play enough stoppage time or cloppage time, But yeah, that's the way he is. And hi to Mason as well. And what's your thoughts for Saturday, Mason? Because obviously you'll be at the game as well. 5:30 kick off under the lights. How do you see it going, and who's going to put the goals in?
Hopefully we'll play better. I know it was our second string team, but hopefully when main players start again before just the last hour before we're going to the break for the World Cup. And obviously Chelsea will be on a dismal run of form. Hopefully we'll make it even dismal for when they come to Newcastle, and we'll take all 3 points and keep them at St James's Park, and we go into the World Cup break in the top 3.
Yeah, and what scoreline you going for, Mason?
I say 2-3-0.
Yeah, and who's getting the goals?
Wilson and Wolfie Wilson, Bruno and Almiron.
Yeah, go along with that one. Yeah, I definitely think Almiron will try and get a goal. I mean, my thoughts for Saturday is, what's that, Sam?
Oh no, it's totally somewhere else. Right.
Sorry.
I'm going in the minute. I'm going in the minute anyways.
Yeah,
I'm going in the minute anyways.
Yeah, but my thoughts is, I think I mean, you've got to look at some of the Chelsea team. I mean, Kai Havertz, he hasn't been on form this season yet. Sterling, not playing him as a wing back. He's not a wing back. So he's not playing in his natural position.
Aubameyang looks poor as well.
He does, doesn't he? I mean, he's 33 now, Pete. I mean, he's come to the end of his career, I'm sure. But, I still wouldn't put it past him to bang one in. But if I look at it, I mean, yes, he's had some mixed results, Graham Potter. He's gotten through in the Champions League to the next phase. But I look at it and I think, this ain't a great Chelsea team, And I think, I mean, somebody said, Potter may get sacked before the end of the season. I don't think he will. I think Potter will be there next season, because what they'll do is they'll let him bring his own players in, and then he'll get rid of the ones who that shouldn't be at the club. But that's their problem, not our problem. I still fancy us to win this on Saturday. Now, my prediction all the way along has always been, I think we'll win 2-0. With goals coming from Wilson and Miggy. But I'm going 2-0. I mean, the other week when we played Villa, I said we would beat Villa 3-0, and then we went on to win 4-0. So, but last week I said we'd beat Southampton 2-0, and we ended up winning 4-1. So yeah, I'm going to go along with the idea that we'll have a great game, we'll do well, we'll play our press and intensity game, we'll play a better game than we did last night, and obviously because our starting lineup will be totally different to what it was last night. And I think everybody will be fresh. Eddie's had them in training, and he'll have them training again tomorrow, and he'll want them to go out there and sign off with a great performance before the World Cup. After last week's performance against Southampton, although we won 4-1, 3-2, although we won 4-1, and all four shots on target ended in the back of the net. I think what will happen then is Eddie will have said to the team, look, we didn't play particularly well last week, but you're in front of your own fans this week. I want a better performance than what it was last week. And I think they will go out there and deliver. You know, I mean, like Darren said, even if it was a point, yeah, it's still a great result against Chelsea. You know, I'll take anything, a point or 3 points, you know. But I do believe we can beat them. But we'll wait and see what happens on Saturday. But that's my thoughts. I'm going to say 2-0. Andrew's in the chat there. He says, evening, lads. Evening, Andrew. Hope you're well, mate. Sefton says, way to go, Rolly. I'm going to go with that man. 4-0, he's saying. Sefton says, hi to Pete and Mason. And he says, amongst 2, Villa 2. Well, it's 3-2 now, isn't it? Is it 3-2 Villa?
Yeah.
Man U.
Yeah, the balls are sloppy goal. The keeper basically rolled the ball out to a United player.
And then Bruno shoots, but it takes deflection on Tyrone Mings and goes in the net.
Oh, Mings has got involved, has he?
Who Mingen?
Yeah, I mean, Pete, we talked about obviously the England squad and things like that. I mean, Callum Wilson's back after a 3-year absence. Pope's in the squad as we thought he would be, and Trippier as well. I mean, the one debate is, should Dan Burn have been in the England team? I mean, he plays left back, he plays centre half. He's better than what Maguire is. Is he better than Cody as well? I mean, what's your thoughts, Pete?
Yeah, we knew Southampton was. I mean, Southgate was going to go with the likes of Maguire, wasn't he? It was inevitable that he was going to pick him. You know, he was going to have his favourites. That's the thing. But Dan Burn, should have been gone. I don't know why Tomori hasn't been included. I don't get it. Yeah. Should have been. Serie A winner.
That's exactly what I said earlier. I mean, you know, I bet the Italians are scratching their heads thinking, how's this guy not got in the England team? You know?
Exactly. And I've got to say, I know he played in the Euros last season, but why has Calvert Phillips been included? He's barely played for Manchester City this season.
Yeah.
He's his favourite people. I don't think Dan Burn was never in the recommendation.
No.
He probably wasn't. Yeah. But
I don't think it's us being Geordie saying that because he's playing so well. It's us being biased. That's why we're saying Dan Burn. But you got to be realistic. If he was going to get called up, you would be in some of the friendlies or early on. I don't think he was never in contention to be called up.
Yeah, possibly.
Tony, I'm going to shoot.
All right, cheers, Sam. Thanks for coming on, mate.
These are lads.
And I hope you get better soon, mate.
Cheers, man. As always. These are the lads.
No worries, mate. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
But I mean, he was always going to have his favourites because I think it was you, Darren, wasn't it, earlier when you said, you know, he's put Phillips in there, but why didn't he pick Longstaff? Because he's played so well this season as well.
That's just been biased, though. That's us being Jordan. That's you saying we could see all the Newcastle players, do you know what I mean, go playing good. But that's us being Newcastle fans saying that. You've got to think about it as an international level. Longstaff's not good enough to be in the team. Well, not yet. Sure,
absolutely.
Keeps going on the way he's going. He'll get cut eventually. But I don't think he's got not good enough yet because he needs a few friends. He needs a taste international level.
Yeah, true.
You can't just say, oh, locked up in colour. You got to be brutally honest. International level is a high standard of football.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if I'm honest, I think favourites for this World Cup's got to be Brazil, hasn't it? I mean,
it could be, yeah.
I mean, will Bruno start in the World Cup or will he be on the bench? Because when you watch him for Brazil, he's normally on the bench, isn't he? And he comes off too. So we'll wait and see. But I mean, Brazil's got to be the favourites this World Cup because they've been put on the last World Cup, weren't they? So they got beat by Belgium. So I think this time round they'll be better suited this time. But it all depends, and we wait and see. But I've got Brazil down as favourites. I mean, Mason, what's your thoughts on the England team today? And do you think Dan Burn should have been in there or not?
I think he should. Obviously, I'm surprised he hasn't. Obviously, he has picked like players from Newcastle, but I'm surprised he hasn't picked the likes of Lewis Dunk. He should have been. He's a prime target from Brighton, who should be in the World Cup squad. Danny Welbeck, because of his form as well, but he was in the 55-man squad, but somehow he didn't take Welbeck. But it's just usuals, Ian. The usuals what Southgate have, bar a few players who haven't played, like Maddison. Happy with. I'm happy that he's brought in, but right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold again. If I was Southgate, I would have to put Alexander-Arnold in the last minute because I would have took James Justin, but he's out of it. He's out for the rest of the season now because he suffered an Achilles injury against Newport on Tuesday. So if I would have took him as well. But it's fortunate for the lad he's going to be missing the rest of the season. But I would have been happy if we had a left back, but I know it's Luke Shaw, but I'm happy we've got a recognisable left back playing, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough having one left back. We need more, like two or three left backs we should have been taking. Yes, Trippier can play there, but I mean Dan Burke could have played there as well, but he's only got one recognisable left back, which isn't good enough. And obviously Matt Target as well. Why is that? Why? What? I know Scotland won him as well, but I mean, why isn't Southgate had a look at both Burn and Target? Because it's just out of my mind. Yes, he's took 3 Newcastle players, but he should be taking more.
Well, Target's not played for ages.
That's the thing, yeah. Target's not playing, so I don't think he would have took a risk on Target.
And he was quite rusty yesterday, I've got to admit.
Yeah. I mean, Sefton's got a question, so this is one I'll go around the table with. He says, can I ask the panel, if you had a free ticket to the World Cup, would you go? I'll start with you, Darren.
No interest. I hope we get beat.
Rolly?
Yeah, I probably would.
Pete?
It's a hard one because it's hard to turn down a free ticket to go to a tournament, isn't it? That's the thing. Depends where it was at, I would say. I mean, I still don't agree with it being in Qatar.
I think that's what he means. If you're more going to Qatar, would you go for it as a free World Cup?
Possibly, yeah. If it's free, and I suppose you would say no, it'd be hard to turn down.
Yeah. Mason?
If it was outside of Qatar, then probably yes. Obviously, for the way it's been going on with like Qatar's human rights, etc. But yes, I wouldn't turn down a free ticket. But it's with all the allegations with like Qatar and what's been happening. But in the free ticket, I would take it.
Yeah, I mean, personally, if it wasn't in Qatar and it was somewhere else in the world, then yes, I would go. But because it's in Qatar, I wouldn't go, because it's not only the fact that our owners get a lot of stick, which I don't agree with half of the time, but if you look into a lot of it in Qatar, there's a lot of human rights in that country, which is far worse than Saudi Arabia. And I personally wouldn't want to go to Qatar because I don't agree with some of the stuff they do. I mean, there was workers working on them stadiums falling to their deaths because they didn't have the proper safety equipment. They were on £3 or £4 an hour, working 12, 16-hour shifts. Migrants workers there, if they complained working in the heat, they were chucked out of the country and told to go back to where they came from, or they were asked to work in like 40-degree conditions without a drink of water and things like that. Absolutely disgusting. I think it's totally wrong. It's in that country. So if it was me personally, I would say no to Qatar. If it was elsewhere in the world, say Brazil, wherever, then I would probably say yes. But as it's in Qatar, it's a no from me, a big no from me, because I don't think they should be hosting the World Cup, in all honesty. But that's a one for another day. But yeah, I think it's just awful that it's over in Qatar. But whether they have a good World Cup or not, I don't know. But I mean, I know the saying about like the fan groups who are going over there, they're saying LGBT and all this, it's all going to be fine and they're not going to get into trouble and all this. Well, yeah, we wait and see. I mean, it's just one of those countries, so we'll see what happens. I mean, FIFA's telling all the FAs, like, stop having to go Qatar and stop bringing politics into sport. Well, sorry, but these countries have got a right to bring politics into sport. I mean, Denmark, their kit's not going to be shown fully, like their badges and that, they're all like sort of hidden because it's their protest against the World Cup. Captains of like England, I think Germany, Spain, France, they're all going to wear a One Love rainbow captain's armband, which I know apparently FIFA's not happy with, but they just want to raise awareness to these that this is a type of country that doesn't deal with things like that. So you can't blame all these different teams. I mean, the Australian teams said something about them as well. So FIFA should respect what people think about Qatar, and everybody at the end of the day has their own opinions of what's going on at the World Cup. So if everybody's got a right to express how they feel about the World Cup at the end of the day, and whether they like it or not, they should accept it, I think, anyway, personally. But like I say, we wait and see. Well, it starts on the 20th of November, and we'll see if their World Cup's a success or not. 4-2, is it?
Yeah, 4-2.
Yeah, 4-2, aye.
Yeah.
Good
Is
boy,
Dubravka had a good game tonight, has he? Has he had nothing to do?
He's ball hit the ball twice. Villas been sloppy. Manu has been great, but they just sat back Villas against Manu.
Yeah,
Dubravka might be on the treatment table in, mightn't he, after, because he might have a sore back picking his ball out of his net twice, because he's not bent his back for ages, has he?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is another question I'm going to bring around the table. So Martin Dubravka obviously didn't want to stay with us. He wanted to go to Man United. Yep. So he wanted to go from being a second on our bench to a second on their bench, or a third choice even at times on their bench. I'll start with you, Darren. One, would you want him back at the club? And two, would you just bring him back in January to sell him?
Well, if you got someone lined up to buy him, bring him back. But if you got anyone to line him up to buy him, just let him stay at Man United. What's the point bringing him back? He left in the first place, so I can't see the point bringing him back if you're gonna, unless you've got somebody lined up who's going to buy him there and then. If you've got anyone lined up who's going to buy him, what's the point bringing him back?
Yeah, and then would you just leave it? Then at the end of the season, when he comes back, would you then sell him? Because you wouldn't want him to stay at the club, would you?
Yeah. But at the end of the season, off you can, can find somebody then. Can get your agent to find somebody that can do your job. So it's up to him. If he wants to leave, let his agent do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Rolly, same question to you.
It's a difficult one because obviously he's still our player. A lot of it would depend on his attitude when he comes back, if he comes back. But again, it's one that you bring him back to sell him.
Yeah. And would that be in January or the summer?
Probably January if we can find a buyer, because we don't need him.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
I mean, I'm grateful for what he did when he was playing for us, but this did sort of throw his toys out the pram a bit.
I just think it'll be hard to sell him in January. Like, I do think that.
Yeah,
I think it'll be hard to sell in January. But if someone's willing to take him, you take the money.
Yeah. As long as somebody's lined up to buy him, but I wouldn't bring him back just for the sake of it, and then hope somebody will buy him.
Same question to you, Pete.
No, I wouldn't be taking him back. If we do bring him back from his loan spell, I would have him out of the club now. I mean, his attitude completely turned for me. And I think we've got a better goalkeeper now in Nick Pope. I've got to admit now.
Yeah.
And Dubravka's attitude just stinks now completely.
Yeah, totally. And Mason, same question for you.
Nah, because after the performances Nick Pope's has had this season, he's going to have to go, because there's no way he's going to be sniffing around Nick Pope if he comes back from Man United, because Nick Pope's just been in form, which it's been impressive. That's how we're up there in the table. Yes, people are concerned. Yes, there was concerns because he got relegated with Burnley, but yes, it was because of the defence. But look where he's got Newcastle. Our defence has been solid. He's been making crucial saves, and that's how Darlow or Carvius didn't play last night against Crystal Palace. And if that was Dubravka, he wouldn't be playing. So for me, he has to go. He has to go and play himself, fight for his place in either the Premier League or the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, personally, in my eyes, yes, he threw his toys out the pram when we had Pope signed, and I think he knew he wasn't going to be first choice goalkeeper. Yes, he's been great. He's done, he's been a fantastic servant. An absolute bargain at £4 million. Can't grumble with that. He's been a very good goalkeeper for us over the years that we've had him here, the 4 years he's been here. I would say the one thing I would say is, if we were going to sell him in January, the only way I could see it happening, maybe, and this is only a maybe, so it might not even happen, is that if we're going in for, say, Maddison, and Leicester need another goalkeeper, we'll throw Dubravka in as part of the deal for you. Maybe that might tempt Leicester, I don't know. But other than that, I would just leave him there till the end of the season. Let him sit on the bench at Man United.
On that, Tony, I was saying him part of the deal of Maddison. he's got to accept to go there first, you know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah,
that's the thing. He
Well, I
can
would
say,
put-
I'm not going there. He cannot be forced to. He can say, I'm
No.
not going there. It's player power. Darius saying,
Yeah.
go there. He doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, true. I mean, personally, my personal opinion, I would leave him at Man U for this season. Let them warm their bench up, and if Man U don't decide to buy him at the end of the season and he comes back to us, I think he then gets told, please go and find another club because your career has finished now. And because Eddie's always said, I only want good characters in the dressing room. I don't want anybody who comes to the dressing room and upsets them. So, and I think Dubravka is the type that's going to be somebody in the dressing room you don't really want. So I think Eddie will say to him at the end of the season, look, thank you for your time at this club. You've been a great servant for the club, but please go and find a new club because you're no longer needed here now. And I think that's what will happen. Sefton's put on, I'm in the loft getting out the Christmas decorations, but the sound of the show is brilliant. Thanks, Sefton. I mean, Christmas decorations already, it's a bit early, isn't it? I mean, I've seen a few up already, and I'm like, Jesus, it's getting earlier and earlier every year. I mean, we've just had bonfire night. But, yeah, it's not December yet. And, you know, so I wouldn't be putting Christmas decorations up this early. I'd be sick of them, be down by the end of November at that rate. It's bad enough when you put them up in December. You like to get them as soon as it's after Boxing Day. It's like, right, they're going to come down, you know, or New Year's Day at least. But, yeah, it's... But, yeah, so... Anyway, guys, we're going to come to the end of the show now. Anyway, we're wrapping up now. So as I usually do. So, Darren, do you want to give a shout out to where people can find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter, Darren Styles. That's it.
Yeah, no worries, mate. And Rolly?
It's at Poll67.
Yeah. And Pete?
All PD Products, a YouTube channel, my Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Feel free to follow, subscribe to my channel, and we'll have the live show tomorrow night.
You got a football show tomorrow night, Pete?
Yes, it's going to start an hour later, just because I'll be back coming from work a bit later, but the show will still be going ahead tomorrow with the you know what.
The food picks are still going to be on.
Yep, they'll be there. And if any more Klopp comments come through again.
Yeah. If you haven't checked out Pete's show, the football show on a Friday night where you can go on live as well, you click his link to get on there. Do go and have a look. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, you know, after the first hour, you get the food picks.
I mean, if you come on tomorrow, Tony, God knows what I'll be seeing this time.
Yeah. After last week with all the animal lookalikes with the players and that. Yeah. Thanks for that, Pete. And Mason, where can we find you on social media?
You can find us Mason for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And myself, you can find me at TonyTooney31 on Twitter. And you can also find me on this channel, which is All Black and White TV. It's been going 18 days now. So, yeah, it's looking up and, you know, takes time for these things to grow. And long may that continue to grow. But if you like what you see, then please do hit those like buttons. It does help push the channel up the search settings and makes people find the channel a lot easier as well when they're looking for it. And also, if you haven't yet, then please hit the subscribe button. That's free to do so. And also hit the bell notification. That'll tell you when I put any pre-recorded videos on or I become live. But the subscription will help grow the channel as well. Thank you very much for everybody so far who's subscribed. So we've had a good short night talking about all sorts of different things, you know, spoke about last night's game and the England team and preview for Saturday. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who came on tonight and thank you to everybody in the chat as well. And until then, it's a goodbye from everybody here. See you later. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.